Listen to the Vibes, hosted by Coyote Knight. Listen in for some positivity and good times. The views and opinions of our guests may not necessarily reflect those of the host or the Vibes Broadcast Network. Listener discretion is advised.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Listen to the Vibes. I have the Cork Bros, Andrew and Mike McCorkle, and they're going to tell us a little bit about themselves, about how they got into digital marketing. And before we get started, I got to know, how in the world do you go from being in the restaurant business to doing digital marketing?
Oh man, well, Coyote, thanks for having us on today, man. We're thrilled to be here. It was a
long journey.
It
took about a year for us to go through that metamorphosis in our cocoon. A long year.
Yeah.
To do that.
So we started off. We combined our backgrounds. So I spent over 10 years in the restaurant industry, and Mike went to Babson University, got his degree in entrepreneurship. So we put our skills together and like, hey, why don't we consult restaurants? Let's give them advice on menu refresh, data analytics, all the stuff we just
A lot of boring stuff.
That we didn't even know how we'd get the deliverables out. So,
yeah.
But we noticed that, hey, we got to get in with these owners somehow, some way. And so what we did was we're like, hey, let's start doing food photography. Instagram's really big right now. People need photos.
Of course.
Try that. And so that's kind of how we got our introduction.
Yeah, we started offering restaurants free food photo shoots so that we could then talk to the owner about all the data analytics, restaurant consulting stuff afterwards. Mm-hmm. And then we noticed after about 3 months of doing that, which was about 9 months or 12 months into the business, that the only thing they cared about was the photos. They didn't care about any spiel about any type of consulting stuff. They're just like, yeah, your photos look great, but like, I don't want to hear the rest of it. Exactly. And so it took us about 3 months of hearing that to be like, hey, let's just listen to what the market is telling us and go towards content creation and social media and all those different things. That's how we became digital marketers.
Okay, so do you give Chef Ramsay a run for his money?
I don't know about all that. Yeah. Maybe a dish or two.
I mean, Andrew knows restaurants like the back of his hand, though. Like sometimes I see him with the owners, they just start talking and they get into all the lingo and all this. And I just prop my chair back and just let them go at it.
Well, you know, I've seen so many different shows that go either into like redoing restaurants or bars and things like that. And then I'll go back and I'll do a little bit of updates on, you know, how things are going. And then I find out some of them are still closing down and, you know, just that didn't work out. So what do you offer folks that changes that?
I mean, it's a ruthless business, the restaurant, food, beverage industry. One thing we've said from the beginning, and it's still true now, is we only get you to your end destination quicker. So if you're running your restaurant poorly, if your quality is bad, if you bring us in, we're gonna help you fail faster because we're gonna bring more people in that are going to acknowledge that, and you know you're just gonna tank quicker because of that. But if you're doing well, if you have a great quality, if you have great staff, all those different things, then we're going to help you bring more people in, and that's going to help you, you know, maybe skip a few months or even a couple of years of getting your name out there.
Okay. All right. So walk me through it. What exactly do you do when you first step in?
Definitely. Yeah. So here's it's like a 3-step process. So it's the initial conversation, just figuring out, all right, what are your needs? What are some upcoming events that you have? What are some products that do really well? And in that initial meeting, we'll kind of give you, that's kind of like a consultation meeting. So we can figure out, all right, how exactly can we help this brand? Because we don't have this one size fits all thing. And a lot of digital marketers want to sell you that. Like, you do this, you'll get 100,000 followers, you'll get 100 new clients, whatever it is, it's all BS. Like everyone needs their specific thing. So do that initial meeting, and then we'll create content behind, like that's very strategic after that initial meeting. So the content creation is a huge portion of that. And that's really all Mike is doing. Not all that he's doing, but like he's
that's
doing
all you do, man.
Yeah, that's all you do. You don't do anything else. Yeah. So then there's the content creation, but then also we noticed too that you can give people the content, but then they don't really know what to do with it. So that's where we come in and we do different digital ads. We give you like, hey, for 3 weeks, post about this upcoming Oktoberfest event that you got going on and hit on these different points and do it in this way, and then give them the info.
Yeah, and the way we do a lot of that, and Andrew heads most of that part, is we'll do a lot of research on years before, the past 3 years before, what competitors were doing this year, what people have already started doing. And really, so like when we create the content, it's for a purpose. It's for a post, and it's to generate X, you know, whatever we identify we need to generate for the brand. And then that's backed with a lot of research for that event, for that product, for that time of the year, for your market, whoever you're trying to target, things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's people out there, and I know how, you know, especially like with the pandemic and everything going on, they're panicking. They're not seeing, you know, there's like no future for me. Everything's falling apart. I don't see how this is going to work. What would you do in order to you know, give them that what am I trying to say? The hope that there's going to be something in the future for them.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So I was gonna say, throughout history, whenever there's something huge that devastates, whether it's an economy, a country, all those different things, whether it's wars, pandemics, revolutions, like the Great Depression, all those different things, a lot of opportunity comes from it, because a lot of business and industries, there's a huge displacement that happens, and people can come in. You don't have to be a big company. You don't have to already be established, and you can kind of stake your claim. It's kind of like the wild, wild west once again, whether it's for a gold rush or, you know, just acquiring like a bunch of land like people did back then. So I would say there's a lot of opportunity here. Like you have to be really smart, because, you know, there's a lot of restrictions, whether it's like people coming out to events and groups and different things like that. So a lot of the strategies that would have worked for building hype or building your name aren't available right now. But if you're still smart, there's a ton of opportunity, and a lot of people are leaving it to the side.
Yeah, exactly. And for example, in 2008, 2009, when the market crashed, a lot of people, you know, they retreated and they're like, oh, I can't do this. But actually out of that was born, Uber was born out of that, Airbnb, Venmo. So all these things that made it very convenient for us to live, those businesses are thriving just, you know, 10, 15 years later since that happened. And so I think what people need to do is those companies help people become more comfortable, easy access, things like that. And so now it's like people are very focused on health, safety, different things like that. How can you take those business ideas to the next level and really come along with the next kind of like frontier of the world? Because the world we live in has changed so tremendously over this past year. So there's a lot of opportunity for you if you just go out there and make it happen. And that's really what we focus on. We actually hit the gas pedal once COVID-19 happened in terms of growing our knowledge and then figuring out the best path for our business forward.
Yeah, I tell you what, I wished I had invested in Amazon.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's quite a few stocks if we had invested right when it hit. Oh my
exactly.
gosh.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, it's sad because there's a lot of restaurants around us that we've really enjoyed over the, you know, the time that we've lived here outside of Austin, and we're seeing these places shutting down. They just haven't been able to adapt, and
Yeah.
I'd love to see those businesses be able to thrive again.
Yeah.
So y'all need to come over here to Cedar Park.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, we've done a shoot in Austin before.
We've done multiple.
Yeah.
Really? Whereabouts?
Yeah. We one of the first shoots we ever did was with Thunderbird Coffee over there. And then we did something with 100 Black Men in the Austin chapter about a year ago, or just under a year ago.
And you didn't even come hit me up. God.
I know.
We didn't know each other then. Next time we come.
That's not an excuse. Just because you didn't know me, it's not an excuse.
Exactly.
Well, like you said, things are not as cookie cutter as some businesses want you to believe. Formulas don't always work. I know I've been given advice on how to grow my podcast, and you got to do this and you got to do this kind of posting and stuff like that. I've done everything that they've told me to do, but the growth has been slow. So what you do, is that able to help people like me?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, with digital ads on social media and things like that, there's really not an industry that we couldn't help grow, except like governmental things like that have limitations on ads and things that you could do. So, podcast is definitely up our alley for something that we could help grow.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, and what a lot of people don't say when they're giving advice, like people who are digital marketers or growth hackers is a common one that comes up. What they don't say is that you want sustainable growth. You want organic growth. Yeah. And so either, they're growth hacking and they're getting you a lot of followers who aren't listening to your podcast or aren't actually engaging with your content on social media, or, you have like these delusions of grandeur when you're growing. And the only real way to like almost guarantee a huge spike in growth is if you have like a few big time celebrities come in and they post about it a lot and all these different things. Then you'll gain like a few thousand followers for each post or something. But besides that, what people don't realize, like let's take YouTube for example, because that's an easy thing that a lot of people are familiar with, is a lot of your favorite YouTubers were YouTubing for over a year or 2 years before their account started to climb. Yeah. And it was once they got to that year or 2 year or 18-month point where, before that, maybe they had like 1,000 subscribers peak. And then all of a sudden it was 2,000. Like they woke up one week and like, holy shit, I just doubled to 2,000. And then they started seeing that more exponential growth. And that's kind of how social media is. You have to be consistent, because with exponential growth in the beginning, it's super slow. It just seems super slow. Like the numbers don't make sense to you. Like you just feel like you aren't moving. And then once you get past that cliff through consistency is when you start seeing results.
Yeah, I'll get people sending me messages all the time. I can get you, 50,000 followers and you just pay me, $50 a month or whatever. I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, like you said, organically. I don't want, fake followers or bots or whatever. The content here is all about being real. And I don't need, some guy that's sitting in his basement at his mom's house, making 50,000 accounts. And, I'm a follow. No. I want real people. Yeah. And, I haven't been at it on my own for very, very long, but I have noticed the growth. It's coming, but it's very slow. I've had videos that maybe had 2 or 3 views, and now it's getting like 600 views, and like, wow, this is it's exciting. And I know there's people out there, they've got 22,000 views or whatever. That's all great, but at least I know that it's growing. But any kind of help I can get, I'm always willing. So if people wanted to find you like on the web or on social media, what do they do to find you?
Yeah, definitely. The best way to interact with us is Instagram. And on our Instagram, it's at the Cork Bros. So TheCorkBros. And on there, we have a link tree. And so that'll take you to other sources of media that we've been on. It'll take you to our website and YouTube and other places you can follow us on the web. And that'd be the best place. So we're the Cork Bros, and we're the co-founders of Cork Bros Studios. Yeah.
Best way to get in contact with us is either DM us on Instagram or just send us an email, and you can easily find our email either on our website or on Instagram itself.
Yeah.
And ladies, they're on Matchmaker, but that's matchmaker.fm.
Oh man, it's so funny. First time we were on a podcast, my wife was like, "How'd you guys get on there?" I was like, "Matchmaker." She's like, "Wait, what the fuck?"
I had to explain it to my wife because you know I don't hide anything from her. You know, she's got access to email or whatever. I have nothing to hide, so it's not a problem. But I remember when I was looking for some kind of like a central hub or whatever to find folks, I come across matchmaker.fm and so it's like, okay, well, that's kind of odd. I'm not looking for a date. I'm looking for a podcast. You know, you read on and you see what it says. So I got on the website and like, oh, this is really cool. So I made the profile and everything. And I was like, okay, honey, if you see an email and it says,
exactly,
you can open it. I don't care. But it's, we're finding guests.
Love it, man. Love
Funny story, but yeah, we will mention that again at the end of the show because I want people to find y'all. So I'm on social media. I'm trying to get my stuff out there. What's the formula for getting people to actually see my stuff?
Definitely. Yeah, so there's a few things that work really well. So collaborations. So as a podcast host, you should be looking into the social media accounts, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, whatever it is that you're trying to build, and seeing how your guests are on social media. Because if you look and they have like a following of, a pretty loyal fan base where people are liking, commenting, engaging, a lot of things like that, then what will happen is they could share different snippets from your podcast on their page and say, go follow Coyote and his podcast, and that's a great way to organically get followers, just to always be putting content on social media, tagging the people that are on the podcast, and then their followers will at least check you out. And if they are interested in what you're posting, they'll give you a follow and they'll start engaging with you. We've seen that to be really effective. Mike, did you have one?
Yeah, collaborations are a huge point. I like that. What Andrew said is something we've seen podcasters fail at a lot, is not releasing like 1 minute, 30 second, 15-second sound bites. And then just cutting, like all you have to do is just cut that little 15 seconds that sounds really good. And then you can send it to the guest that was on the show and also for your own social media and have them post and be like, hey, in 3 days, the podcast is coming out and here's a sound bite from it. And that really works. That works really well because it gives people a little taste of it. They can hear some, it's kind of like, it's a preview. It's the reason they do it for TV shows, movies, all that other stuff. It gives them a little taste for it. And then it reminds them that, you can anticipate this in 3 days or however many days, come and watch it. And then if you have another one on that day, so it's not just, hey, go watch our podcast and here's a picture of our faces, but it's like, here's a sound bite. That sounded really cool. It sounds like we're talking about something really interesting. You can hear the rest on the podcast. And then, so like with collaborations, to get a little bit more specific, we found where not doing just one post, but like having it at least 2 to 4 different posts that you can post over the course of 7 to 10 days, leading up to whatever, has been the most effective. Because then that other person's follower base sees you and sees your links multiple times, and then they make an action towards it. The first time, usually people don't make actions towards things.
Yeah.
Okay.
And another one would be you gotta give love to get love. So what we like to do is we create a VIP list and we engage with between 100 to a few hundred people each week. So we're constantly liking, commenting, replying to their stories. And what we've seen is that maybe on the first 5, 6, 7, they're like, all right, who are these guys? And then they don't come follow us. But what happens is they see, whoa, these are followers. This is a follower who will come engage and comment on my page. Let me return the favor and start engaging and commenting on their stuff. And so how we find the people is we search hashtags. So, we work with foodies. So we'll search the hashtag Atlanta Foodie because we're out in Atlanta. And then we'll go comment and like and follow local Atlanta foodies. If we want to be on podcasts, we'll go search podcasts and then just go liking and commenting and following podcasts that we'd like to be on. And it takes a lot of time, but it's super valuable. And we've got some of our most loyal followers that way, is showing them love, and they'll consistently show us the love back. And that helps grows engagement, interactions on your page.
Okay. Hey, by the way, since y'all are out there in Atlanta, is it true that Ludacris has a chicken and beer restaurant in the airport?
Yep.
He does.
Yeah, I think it's in D terminal or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A friend of mine had went to a comedy show that he did out there, and he said, "Yeah, Ludacris has a chicken and beer place." I said, "You got to be kidding me! Come on!"
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's right in the terminal, man. I think he has like a big cutout of like himself in front of it and stuff too, so you definitely know it's Ludacris' spot.
Okay, exactly. Well, probably have to go in then if I see.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a good marketing deal, though, right?
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
All right, so let's take a step back and let's find out more about yourself. So tell me about, where you grew up and how you got to doing what you were doing.
Go ahead, man.
Yeah.
So you're the first guinea pig.
So I think it starts with the funniest thing with our business name and everything is that Andrew and I are not brothers. So we both have Cork in our last name. So he's McCorkland, I'm Corkrum. And I mean, that happened by chance. We met playing basketball. We were on the same men's league together. We both moved to Atlanta around the same time. And so they put us all together on a team, and we were on the free agents, and that's usually a team that gets beat down. Yeah. But that year we gave the people the beat down instead, and we started hanging out outside and for about a year. Oh yeah, exactly. For about a year and a half, we were just hanging out. No thoughts of doing a business together or anything. Just kind of getting to know each other. We had quite a few hot tub sessions where we'd meet at like midnight, just go to a hot tub and just talk about life, talk about, our insecurities, the things that we're struggling with, a lot of the different challenges, and that built a huge foundation for us, like of trust, and just knowing each other better and each other's intentions. And that made it so when we did start a business, it was pretty seamless.
Yeah.
Your turn.
Yeah. So we're kind of from, we're from all over the place, both of us. I'm originally from Chicago, but I'm 28 now. I've lived in 6 different states in 28 different housing situations. So I've been all over the country, man. But yeah, I moved here August 2016 with Mike, and that's, right around the same time when Mike moved here. And we just started hanging out, and, it's been a great journey because we didn't even mean to become a business, which is so cool that, we've gotten to the point where we are today, and that we're building a brand, growing a business, helping other businesses, helping others through different donations and things like that. So, yeah.
In my spiritual journey, I've found that nothing is a coincidence. And when the universe wants to put you together, he puts you together.
Exactly.
Yep. So you've heard of that 6 degrees. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that it just seems like if it was meant to be, it was meant to be. So, you got to keep that in mind. It wasn't a coincidence.
No, that's a huge thing, I think, and especially when it comes to business. Because when you're creating a business, you're really trying to make your mark in the world. Yeah. And so what you're doing is you're kind of creating in the universe, and so you have to listen to it. You have to listen to what it's trying to tell you. There's been so many times Andrew and I thought we wanted to close a client for XYZ, and we look back and we didn't close them. And then we look back and we're like, if we had closed them, our business would have gone in the wrong direction. We would have been focused on providing that service instead of what we moved on towards providing, or we would have just been miserable. Like, that's not actually what we wanted to do with our lives. So like being able to listen to the universe, especially when it seems like you've received a failure, is huge, especially for business, but just life in general.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to get knocked down a few times before you learn how to stay up, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
I've kind of been in that same situation where I was like, you know what, this partnership is going to work out great. I'm going to have a huge following. And then I find out that the person that I was going to be working with it was not the right fit. It didn't work. And like you said, you listen to the universe. The universe put different blocks in front of me to tell me, no, this isn't the right fit. And I broke off that partnership. And it's amazing how all of a sudden things started happening.
Yep.
You know, it got stagnant, and then all of a sudden, boom, I'm getting more people watching and listening, and it's been an amazing journey. But you have to listen. Yeah. So if you had to give advice for folks out there, what would that advice be?
Go ahead, Andrew.
Advice for what aspect?
As far as life in general, and to sticking to your dreams.
Definitely. Yeah, I have a few guys, so buckle up. About
Go
to go
for
a
it, man.
wild ride. No, but I think the first and the most important thing is drowning out the outside and the inside noise. Mike and I talk about this all the time, is that you're not going to pursue your dreams and you're not going to get far if you're constantly listening to the opinion of your mom, of your friends, of your family saying, oh no, don't start that business, or don't do that. Like, what happens if you fail? And like, I feel like a parent's job is to protect you. And so they're going to protect you from the potential hurt that you might get when you're going out pursuing your dream. So you got to really drown out that inside or that outside noise coming from friends and family who are going to doubt you. And that happened to us in many different instances and circumstances, especially a year into the business when we had only made $244.
Less than $1 a day for two people.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Exactly. But the other flip side to that too is you got to drown out the outside noise of people hyping you up, because what will happen is you'll get too prideful and then you'll fall. So if you're living for, like, I got to hear great job or you did a fantastic job, then when that stops coming, you're going to be way less motivated and it's going to be harder for you to go out there and get it done. So I really drown out listening to you can't do it or, oh, you're so awesome. Like, I just completely just focus on the goal and the dream and don't even hear what other people are saying. So that would be like my first thing. And the second thing is, like, dream bigger. Like, people always say dream big, but then they think that's, if I made $100,000 or $1 million, or if I helped 1 million people, or if I got this car, like that's really like a small dream. Like, we could all, if we all focused in things like that, we could be like a Jeff Bezos, things like that. The only thing he has is his work ethic is crazy, and he just refuses to let people stop living his dream or pursuing his dream. So I always say, like, dream bigger than what you think. If you think it's big, just keep going and keep pushing, because when you just like dream big, it's like, oh, I reached it. Okay, now I'm done. I got the house or I got the car. Nah, I'm good now. So it's always dream bigger. Those would be my two to start out with. Mike, what you got?
I think those are big. I think jumping on the dream big thing is, Andrew actually said this to me, I think last week or something. He's like, hey, if we have a goal and we know how to get there, we can think of initially how to get there, it's not big enough. And, you need to have goals where it stretches you, not just in terms of the work and the hours you have to put in, but in terms of even just conceptualizing your next steps to get to it. Because it's gonna make you make moves that you would have never guessed you could have made. It's gonna make you go and talk to people and build a network you never thought you could build, and learn skills you never thought you could learn. So that's one big thing with the dream big. But I mean, one of the biggest things for me in terms of pursuing your goals, your dreams, and just living a happy life is learning. A lot of people put learning on the back seat. I mean, when we're in school, very few people in school want to learn. You feel like it's more of a burden that you have to do.
Yeah.
But I think as adults, we have the maturity now to realize the benefits of learning. And a lot of times we put it on the back seat. So I think learning for me over the past 2-3 years, especially in this business, has made it so that the past 2-3 years have been some of the most fulfilling of my life, because I've seen myself get better, whether it's at photography or videography or even just business and interacting with people and different things like that. That's because consistently I've put in effort. And it's amazing how good you can become at something if you're putting in an hour, 2 hours a day, 5 days a week for 12, 18, 24 months. Like, that is so much time to become almost an expert in something that you're going to be night and day, and you're going to see it in increments of months. Like every 3 months, you're going to look back and be like, wow, I was so bad back then, but I know how to do all these different things now. So I think learning, whether it's for a business, whether it's for a hobby, whether it's just for your life, like, it's going to bring you so much satisfaction and fulfillment.
Yeah, and never stop learning. Mm-hmm. That's the thing, you know. I've tried to tell everybody that I've had under me when I supervised was, you can never stop learning. Don't feel like just because you've gotten to a certain level that you've learned everything that you could learn. Never. Sometimes a new guy would step in and he would come up with an idea that nobody else thought of. And you got to be open to that too. So whenever you go in and you're doing a consultation for folks, is it based on a case-to-case basis, or is it you have like a blanket amount that you charge folks?
Yeah, I mean, it's a case-to-case basis. So the consultation is incorporated in like the whole project. So usually people approach us because they want a project done, or somehow there's a project on the table to be done. And so we're doing the consultation to figure out the best way to do the project. But we have had consultations with people, and it's just the consultation, where whether it's providing social media strategy, content creation techniques or strategy, different things like that. So that's also on a case-by-case basis, whether it's like we're going to do multiple consultations, talking through multiple techniques and like kind of evaluating, you know, a few weeks down the line how things are going, or if it's just going to be a one-off type thing and just kind of just providing value and insight and like in one meeting.
Well, you know, there's going to be people out there that says, well, I just can't afford to do something like that. Now, what would you do to try to dissuade them from steering away from that?
So I think the biggest thing is sticking to your guns. It might not be right for them. If they aren't willing to pay the money, then we're not going to sit here and beg you to do the services. You know, there's people who will see the value after we have that initial call and that initial consultation. And so what we never do is we don't do discounts. We don't say, oh, well, if you can't do it for this much, like, let's take $500 off of it so you could reach where we're at. And that's really helped us tremendously, because what we learned is the people who are like, yeah, I can't afford this, once we try to like figure out what it is, $200 off, $300 off, they were the least satisfied and they were the hardest to work with. So we're like, okay, why are we giving these discounts? If they can't pay it and they don't see the value, then let's keep it moving.
Definitely. The one thing I would say to people who are on the fence, especially when you're starting a business and spending money, I mean, spending money is tough. Like, you don't want to just see your bank account go down. But one thing we've really realized with our business, and we've seen be really effective for other businesses, you have to bet on yourself and you have to invest in yourself. Every time we've spent money on the business, and we weren't trying to cut corners, and we weren't trying to buy something cheap. Like, we bought cheap lenses, we bought cheap lights, we've made all those mistakes. It was all a waste of money. Yeah. It was only when we started buying, we're like, all right, let's buy the actual professional grade stuff. Yeah. And our quality just kept jumping up every time we did it. Every time we invested in our business, it's always easily paid itself back. And if you're doing a business, you're betting on yourself. Like, whether you're spending money or not, you're still betting on the time you're spending with it. Yeah. So don't be afraid to invest in your business. And if you're not making progress with your business, it might be because you're not investing in it.
Well, you know, the thing that they say about it, you've got to spend money in order to make money. Yeah. And also you get what you paid for. Yeah. I can tell you from getting tattoos over the years, you get what you pay for.
Absolutely.
When somebody says, I can give you a tattoo for $20, we'll walk away. Look for that guy that charges you 200, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, I've got a few of those mistakes that have to be corrected.
Yeah.
And it costs you more money in the long run. If you
Absolutely. Every time.
You should have just went ahead and did the right thing to begin with.
Yeah, exactly.
So what is next on your agenda? What's your next step? How you gonna take the world?
Yeah, absolutely. We got a lot on the plate right now.
Yeah.
We made a 6-month plan in August, and that was really to build our brand. And so everything we're doing is moving towards that. So we're working with a designer right now to come out with a clothing brand, to really build the Cork Bros brand. We're coming out with the mini TV digital series.
With a web series.
Yeah, web series. And that's going to be a big production. We're close to closing a big sponsorship with that. And that's going to be great. And then we also are working on a documentary that will start next week.
Yeah, filming's next week for it.
Yeah, how COVID-19 impacted the food and restaurants and breweries. So we got that coming. We're working on building our brand by doing different basketball competitions. So challenging people, going out there, playing basketball 2-on-2, and just everything we could do to build our brand. We're never stopping. And we're also working on sales. You know, that's always one thing that we've been like, oh man, we hate doing sales. We're like, yo, to really keep growing, we gotta have money to invest. We gotta have money to help other people out. So we gotta build sales. So we're working on all that simultaneously. And you know, if we would have thought about this 2 months ago, we'd have been like, yo, that's way too much to take on. But it's like, no, we just thought of one thing and they figured it out. Thought of the next thing, we're figuring it out, and things like that. So that's really what's next for us.
Well, you know, I'd go out and play basketball, but haven't you heard white men can't jump?
Yeah, Mike might dunk on you there. Oh, man, that's a great movie.
Look, my 5-year-old grandson can play basketball better than I can.
That's great.
But if I wanted to get y'all to you know, consult me on my business, which I'm trying to get really going, what do I need to do? I mean, will you be able to help me?
What's the business?
Podcasting. Podcasting.
So are you want to grow your individual podcast? Like, tell us a little bit more about what you're wanting.
Well, one of the main things is I told you before, I do have some health problems, and I had to retire early. And when you retire early, you don't make nothing. And you know, I can't do jobs physically anymore. And so that's why I kind of got a little more serious about doing podcasting. And I mean, I didn't get into it originally to make money. It was just because it was something fun to do, but I'm seeing a potential there, and I'd like for my viewership to grow on both YouTube, and then also the audience that I have on the other podcasting platforms like Spotify, iHeartRadio, that kind of thing. Yeah. And I would like to start generating some real money, and in order to provide for my family. So help me.
Definitely. So
put my life in your hands.
Yeah. So Coyote, we're a year down the road. It's 2021. And we initially worked with you 12 months ago. Tell us what would be like, this was really successful. I got a lot of value out of this, and I really feel great about what we did. What would that look like to you?
To me, not only building my audience and getting it out there, but also being able to, I want to start out, first of all, realistically, in being able to at least generate that income that I was used to having before. but I don't want to be satisfied with that. Of course, I want to be, I want to be the next Joe Rogan where they're offering me millions of dollars to be on Spotify.
Yeah, definitely. And how long have you been doing your podcast for?
Oh my goodness. It's been several years. This particular one, I actually started just before the pandemic started. Like I said, I told you I've been doing paranormal stuff for years, but I just started this particular one. What was it? 6 months ago, 7 months ago?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So the next steps that we would do with that is we'd start with a design thinking exercise. So we'd create an empathy map to figure out who exactly your listeners are, or who you want your listeners to be going forward as you grow, and what value. So what they're thinking, what they're saying, what they're doing, and what they're feeling when it comes to just life in general, and what they want to hear on podcasts, what entertains them there. So we'll start to develop that, because for anyone to grow and to grow effectively, people have to find whatever you're doing valuable. They have to want to come back to it. And so we need to figure out who those people are, because many different people find different things valuable and entertaining. So we figure out who those people are, and then we figure out what they want from you. And then we'll start figuring out a plan to provide that to them, and to do that with your own flavor and your own unique twist. So it's not something that's easily replaceable, because if you do want to be a Joe Rogan or whatever, it's not just that you're talking to people. It's not just that, you have cool guests or anything. There's a nuance and there's a personality flair there too, that keeps people coming back no matter who the guest is.
Now, I must add also, I started the network just about the time the pandemic started. So I've got other people in other states that are doing content and putting it on the network. And so I have a wide variety of topics, from paranormal to cosplay to, beauty and then the positivity and things like that. So I want to not only build me up and build my brand, I want to be able to bring people along with me for the ride.
Yeah.
So help.
Definitely. Yeah, let's schedule a design thinking call.
Yeah, let's figure out all those stuff I was just saying with the empathy map. And then the next step after that would be to figure out. So we're like, all right, we know what you are going to be delivering to people, whether it's what you're delivering right now, whether there's a tweak to it or anything. And then it's like, all right, how do we get this to even more people? Like, what strategies are we going to put in? Is it like collaborations with people? Is it strategically getting different guests that have people who are already interested in those type of topics, different things like that?
Yeah, and I'd also like to hire somebody to help me, because doing all this by myself is not the easiest thing in the world.
I know, I bet.
Definitely.
All right, so we've gone through all that. I want you to leave people with some kind of hope that they can achieve their dreams. So I'm going to leave that idea up to you.
Definitely. So one thing about our business and what we do is that we are self-taught, and we've only been doing this for just under 3 years now. So 2 years, 10 months to the day. And everything along the way we've learned, and we sought out and we grinded, and we are no different than anyone else out there. It's just that our will to win the game and to build a successful brand and to help others is just unmatched, and we'll do whatever it takes. But we had to learn it. I knew nothing about social media. I actually didn't have social media for 4 years leading up to the business. And then when we started the business, I had a private Instagram account and was using hashtags to try and gain new followers. And so we could learn it. We started out taking photo shoots on our phone. We would bring our Nikon camera that we knew nothing about, or how to use, or how to edit photos, or even how to get the photos from the camera to the computer. We knew nothing, but we started with our phones, and we just kept learning and learning and learning and never gave up. So if we could do this in, just under 3 years, anyone could go out there and pursue their dream. Just have that patience, drown out that outside noise, learn, and don't stop.
Okay, and once again, can you tell us how to get a hold of you guys in order to get this ball rolling?
Definitely. So we are Andrew and Mike, and we are the Cork Bros. You can find us on Instagram at the Cork Bros, TheCorkBros. And then from there, we have a link tree. You can see all the different links there. Yeah. And you'll be able to find our website or other social media or other media platforms. Yeah,
shoot us a DM or an email, whichever is easier for you. You can do both of those from the Instagram account. And let's get the conversation rolling and the ball rolling.
Yeah, that link tree was a godsend, wasn't it?
Oh, it was, man. Brilliant website, brilliant concept.
It's made life a lot easier for me, I can say that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, if an old fart like me is willing to learn some new things, there's folks out there that can definitely use y'all's help.
Absolutely. No, we appreciate you having us on, Cody. It was a great time today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you guys, man. Y'all made a great interview, and I think this will really be a big help to folks out there. And
absolutely.
You said you're 28?
Yeah, Mike, you're 27?
Yeah. You're 29, right?
Oh, I'm 29.
Oh, you're 29. Oh,
I'm not counting 2020, guys. I'm 28. I refuse to count this year.
Okay, that scares me if you can't even remember your own age. My daughter is 28, so
yeah, it's
like, okay.
Yeah.
So actually, them youngins do know a thing or two, huh?
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, guys. I really appreciate your time, and I definitely want to get with you because I think we got something special here that can really grow. And everybody out there, please continue to support us and to watch and give great advice and keep up the hope. And so until the next show.
Bye, guys.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Listen to the Vibes. You can catch us on Buzzsprout or wherever you listen to your favourite podcasts, and on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook at The Vibes Broadcast Network and on Instagram at The Vibes Broadcast.